You may not feel like you're a support group person, or I'm not sure how that's gonna work, or feel awkward. Just challenge yourself, because oftentimes you're going to find someone you connect with, you're gonna feel heard, you're gonna feel seen, you're gonna feel understood, you're gonna find your people. Now you found your people.
You found more people.
Yes.
More people to be your people. Hi, Enisha. So happy to be sitting down with you. You've been with HFC for a long time. We're gonna start with you. You're a licensed clinical social worker. You work with families impacted by dementia. You've had a path to get here. Tell us a bit about you and your journey and how you started at HFC.
Yes, would love to. So I started, I earned my master's at USC. My first job out of grad school was working for an agency called Motion Picture Television Fund, where we really worked with retirees of the industry. I've seen a lot of memory issues, dementia, Alzheimer's, and it was my job to kind of help those folks find and land in a safe place. And a lot of times it was also working with the adult children who were involved in their care. Later down the line, one of my mentors introduced me to HFC. She does a lot of work with you all. I think she's a pioneer of geriatric social work. Jenny Grauman, if you know her. If you know her, you know her. She's amazing. But she really pulled me into this work and just kind of showed me that there's this other avenue to provide support in a new, different way. So that's how I got involved with HFC.
Maybe you could tell us some of the challenges that families who are facing a dementia diagnosis, tell us some of the challenges that they are carrying with them and how you help them.
A lot of the challenges I see when caregivers come to us and are seeking a support group, it's usually issues around isolation, feeling like no one sees them. They're dealing with this alone, behind closed doors. They've lost friends, they've lost connections. Also guilt. I see a lot of people walking in with guilt because of the hard decisions you have to make. It's really hard to make decisions in isolation, especially when you know it's going to impact someone you love, someone you care about, and you're doing the best that you can. And a lot of times it's around, how do I take away their car? How can I tell them that they can't drive anymore? How am I going to move mom into an assisted living facility or memory care? But those are real conversations. And I think all those kind of conversations and all those feelings are natural when you're going through this process, but these decisions are easier to make when you have some support behind it. So a lot of times when you can come into a group and you see folks that you can identify with and share some commonalities with and say, hey, I understand you. You understand me. You can literally see the light bulb go off sometimes.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? Like a little bit of understanding, a little bit of, I see you, I've been there, here's what I did. Maybe you can do something similar, or
Absolutely.
Just I'm here for you is huge. Goes a lot. For me, I mean, I had a support group for young people, and that was everything to me. It was the first time I was like, oh, I'm not the youngest person going through this. I'm not the only young person going through this. And it made this weight lift off of me. And, the things I learned from the other people in my group were so, oh my gosh, just so helpful to navigate the journey. What have you seen in these groups caregivers give to other caregivers?
I think it's the resource sharing. When they've gone through something, they've learned a new skill, they've gained a new resource, and now they have that wealth of knowledge to share to someone else who's newer on the journey. They share, and then the next week they come back happy. Guess what I did? Oh my God, I got the call back. I got my letter. You know what I mean? So it's just like those little wins. You know what I mean? And we sit there and we celebrate each other for those little wins. And I think that's the best, because a lot of times as caregivers, you're working hard. It's nice when you have people who are walking along with you on your journey, who can celebrate your wins with you, no matter how small or how large they are. So I think when it comes to this group, it's just a really special place.
Within these groups, everyone's logged on. Tell us a bit more about the dynamic, the atmosphere between people. What is an hour with these people like?
Everybody logs in from their own parts of the country, world, wherever they are, turns their camera on, and just for an hour agrees to be vulnerable and share their experience. And even the folks who come in shyer and not necessarily, when you start seeing other people be vulnerable and inviting you in, sharing your story allows someone else to share theirs.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel so honored just to watch and be in the room, to walk along with them through their journeys, because, we know what's at the end of this, right? This is a progressive disease. You're gonna find people who are invested in your story. When that happens, you're not gonna be alone. You know what I mean? And so I think that's the beauty of it all, is that a lot of these connections and these friendships are transcending beyond these groups, and they're becoming real lifelong friends. And I think there's nothing like it.
Tell me about how the group addresses diverse needs and situations of different caregivers within the group.
They're all very diverse, but I have a lot of adult children. I have some who are on the younger end of the spectrum, like 30s and younger, and then you have middle age, and you may have children in there, and then we have some spouses, right? And that's different too. And I think the lovely thing about that is that you have a range of perspectives. One conversation that kind of comes to mind is I had a wife who was caring for her husband. She was talking about, like, I don't want to stress my kids out about this and tell them and da-da-da. And then all my other adult children are like, absolutely not. You have to tell them. You need to let them know what's going on with your husband so they can be there for you. And you can just see, like, that intergenerational, like, support, you know what I mean? And it really, like, the ages, it doesn't really make a difference. I think it's the experience, and I think it's the vulnerability, and I think it's the connection. That's the richness of the group. And so when you walk into this space, you bring so much. And I think every member, every participant brings so much with just their personal story. Mm-hmm. So you just have to be willing to connect and be vulnerable and to share and to open up and let the magic happen.
Absolutely. The first support group that I went to was Come One, Come All. I'm by far the youngest person in this. This man who's, I think, probably 30 years older than I was at the time, is talking about his mom and how awful this was, and he's losing her, and it's so hard for him. And sure, it was. Mm-hmm. But in my immature 24, I literally was like, I don't want to hear it. You had your mom until you were in your 50s. I'm in my early 20s. So it's why when we created our groups, I was like, I want people to feel seen. I want them to be grouped together, if they can be, with people in similar situations. Mm-hmm. So maybe you can speak about, how when someone is in a group that perhaps isn't as diverse and people are in the same boat, and how they're able to help each other.
Oh yeah, I think the nice thing about that is that you're in the same place developmentally, right? I'm not where I want to be in my career because I had to take a step back. Mm-hmm. That's something we have to process. Right. I can't have kids because that's something I have to process, you know what I mean? And so I think when you have peers that look like you and who are your same age and around that same demographic, you can find another type of connection, right? Where we can now talk to each other. We can now text each other. We can now encourage each other. Hey, why don't you get on the app and try to meet someone? Or, when you're down here, come visit me. Or just try to have something a little bit more a normalized experience, because it is tough. It's difficult. And so when you can talk about that amongst your peers and talk about these gender roles and all these things that are coming up in the caregiving experience, you feel a lot more seen. You feel a lot more heard. You feel a lot more sane. You feel like, hey, how can we strategize around this?
I'm curious, what have been some victories? What makes you as a support group facilitator think, I've done my job, I feel good about it?
I think for me, it's when we are laughing more than anything, right? When you can laugh at yourself and find ease and just kind of see the humor of it all, you know what I mean? And I think when we have groups like that, when we're like literally laughing and crying at the same time, I think that's when it's just most, you just know, like, they felt seen today, they felt heard, they got some comedic relief out of it, that, and it just happens naturally, And the changes in behavior, right? Yeah. So I used to default to just chaos and being overstressed and like withdrawing. Now, when I get frustrated or experience a challenge, I'm pulling up my resources. I'm in my toolkit. Have I tried this? Let me call this person. Let me try this avenue or whatever it may be. But when you start seeing those changes in behaviors, that's the reward. That's the change. That's them becoming more resilient. And I think that's when you've done your job.
Yeah. And I think that, I think we at HFC really try to show people that, like, yes, this is dark. This is shitty. Alzheimer's is really terrible. But you can meet people who can bring a smile to your face, and they can lighten your load. And it is possible to be a caregiver and laugh at the same time. Someone is new to this journey. They're not sure where to go for advice. They're considering a support group. They're not sure where to go. What sort of advice would you give them?
I would say be open to building your toolkit. A lot of times when you're caring for someone, all the attention goes onto the person you're caring for and not yourself. Yeah. Putting a caregiver support group in your toolkit is something that that's your life raft, right? And I just encourage you to show up for yourself. I think a lot of times it seems like you're almost abandoned in this role of being a caregiver, right? And the world has moved on without you and you're just left to figure it out. And I like to remind the folks who walk into my group to don't abandon yourself. You know what I mean? It may feel like the world has done that, but you can't do it to yourself. Show up for yourself, even if it's just 1 hour a week. Do what you can.
If you had to describe HFC in one word, what would that word be?
Transformative. I feel like it's transforming the space of caregiving, who caregivers are. It's expanding who caregivers are. It's transforming lives. I know this for sure because I hear about it week to week, and people who look at me and say, I don't know, this group, just seeing you all each week just gives me enough, you know? So I know it's just transforming a lot of lives.